nod your head.
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay,
Yes.
I'm going to turn this over to Sandy Johnson, our chair. Um, this is Charlene again, the TD administrator. I just want to let everyone know that the first part of the meeting, starting now, is for our public workshop, which is our training that is educational. I can tell you a little bit about it, and then my colleague Rebecca, our board's coordinator, is going to assist us with advancing the images. Essentially, what we have done is we've taken information. You guys that were here previously, we did the exercise at the tabletops where we looked at the roles and responsibilities. Um, the roles and responsibilities for the local coordinating board, for the Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged, and for the local coordinating board, and of course the MPO, which is the designated official planning agency. And so what we are doing is the exercise is called Mentee. When it opens up, you will log in on the computer, whether you're remote or here in person. The instructions are at the top of the screen. And then what will happen is there will be, I posted about 50 questions to utilize the time that we have for the workshop. If there's any time at the end extra, it'll give us just an opportunity to take a quick break and then come back sharply for our quorum at 3 o'clock for our regular business meeting. And the way that the exercise is set up is there will be a question and answer, and then you can click on what you think the answer is. This is not a test. No one will be receiving a grade. The purpose is for educational information and training for roles and responsibilities of our partners, ourselves and our partners. So without further ado, Rebecca, when you're ready, if you can assist us with bringing up the Mentee presentation, that would be great. Okay, now you all can see at the very top of the screen, you're going to log into www.mentee.com and you'll use the code that is posted. And that will get you access in so that you can participate in the exercise.
Oh.
Once you're logged in, it says to enter your name, I believe. I'm not logged in. I'm going to stay live so I can watch the room and make sure if anyone needs assistance. We've got help on the way. We'll just bear with it while everyone gets registered. www.mentee.menti. It's right at the very top of the screen. You got to get on the internet right here. Anyone else needs assistance? Raise your hand. Okay. We're just, folks here are getting logged in. We can just be patient. We'll get started in just a minute. It is 8903381. At the very top of the presentation. 8903381.
I didn't put the right code in. Yeah, it took me into something else. Okay. What's the code again? I'm sorry. 8903. Okay.
It's not working for me. 8903.
8903381. Okay.
And remember, if you're not talking, you can utilize the mute. And if you want to go off video, you can turn off the video. That's at the bottom left.
Through what? Oh,
Go to this website here, and then questions throughout the next hour are going to be popping up in the middle, and then you can choose what answer you use. So it's mentee.com.
There's plenty of time for the exercise. No worries, folks. You have about 45 seconds for each question.
And then it should be first.
that one?
Yeah,
Okay.
and then you're going to put this code in. So it's
Oh.
890.
Mm.
Charlene, this is Milori. I guess I need your help because it's not moving to the next page for the questions.
Not yet. Our board's coordinator is assisting with that process. It's not going to advance. She's going to.
I still,
Okay,
Hi,
thank you.
Board coordinator,
thing.
we are
didn't
still
advance
waiting
to
for
any
people
other
to sign
screen. Is
in.
this the right screen?
It should be, yeah. I think they have to, they're waiting to.
Okay.
To get it moving. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
We're still waiting for everyone to sign on.
Is there anyone in the office remaining that needs to log in? Here is good. Okay. Everyone in the office is good to go, and I presume those online are ready as well. Thank you, Rebecca. You can start. Remember, you have about 45 seconds for each of the slides. So, and remember, there's not a test.
She wanted me to put it on mute and I can't find the mute button now.
Question is up. You can answer. Click on the answer that you believe is correct.
Make sure to read the questions and answers just for
Okay. Thank you. If you missed the first question, it's not a problem. I'll read the questions as we go along. Okay, time is up. Not to worry. Don't worry if you missed one. It's okay. We'll catch up. And the answer was D, the local coordinating board. Next question, 2 of 46. We may not get through all these. That's fine. I am watching the clock. I put extras on here in case you guys rapid fire were able to answer. Okay, next question. Who develops and maintains local transportation disadvantaged or TD rider eligibility? The answers are A, Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged, the CTD, the Community Transportation Coordinator, the CTC, B, the Planning Agency, which is the MPO, or D, the Local Coordinating Board. And I'm reading these questions for anyone who might be participating remotely that has issues with ADA that we need to assist them. And the answer is B, Community Transportation Coordinator, the CTC, our partners at Broward County Transit who operate TOPS Paratransit. Mr. Strobus will be joining us later remotely. Question 3, coming up. Provides transportation services for transportation disadvantaged eligible individuals in the community. And the answers are in the same order as previously. A, Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged. B, Community Transportation Coordinator, CTC. C, Planning Agency, the MPO. And D, the Local Coordinating Board, the LCB. It's like speed dating. It's just not as nerve-wracking. Everyone doing okay? Raise your hand if you're having any difficulties. Great, no problems. And the answer is B, Community Transportation Coordinator, the CTC. Question 4. Prepares and submits to the commission, which is the CTD, the annual operating report, also known as the AOR. We are notorious for using acronyms. So the AOR is the annual operating report. The answers are A, Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged, B, Community Transportation Coordinator, the CTC, C, the Planning Agency, MPO, and D, the Local Coordinating Board. At the end. It just happens at the end. Let me see. Carol's come out, check on you. And the answer is B, Community Transportation Coordinator, the CTC. This is the whole point. It's just a learning tool. Okay, the next question is establishes transportation disadvantage trip rates and submits the rate model to the commission, the CTD. The answers are the Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged, the CTD, B, the Community Transportation Coordinator, the CTC, C, the Planning Agency, the MPO, and D, the Local Coordinating Board. Okay, 11 correct, excellent. The Community Transportation Coordinator is the answer. Question number 6. Appoints members and alternates to the LCB. Who makes the appointments of members and alternates to the LCB, the Local Coordinating Board? A, the Community for Transportation Disadvantaged, the CTD. B, the Community Transportation Coordinator, the CTC. C, the Planning Agency, the MPO. Or D, the Local Coordinating Board. And you can use the designated official planning agency interchangeably. We just shortened it for the purposes of today to be planning agency. And the answer is D, the local coordinating board. This is question 7. Recommends to the Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged, the CTD, the local community transportation coordinator, the CTC. And the answers are A, the Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged, the CTD, B, the Community Transportation Coordinator, the CTC, C, the Planning Agency, the MPO, or D, the Local Coordinating Board. And the answer is D, the Local Coordinating Board. Question 8. In coordination with the CTC and the Local Coordinating Board, they develop a Transportation Disadvantage Service Plan. A, Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged, the CTD. B, Community Transportation Coordinator, the CTC. C, the Planning Agency, the MPO, or D, the Local Coordinating Board. And the answer is C, the MPO, the Planning Agency. Question 9. Reviews annually the annual operating report, the AOR, prepared by the CTC and submits it to the local coordinating board for approval. The answers would be in A, Commission for Transportation Disadvantaged, B, Community Transportation Coordinator, C, Planning Agency, and D, Local Coordinating Board. And your answer is the Planning Agency, the MPO, C. Question 10. Reviews and approves the Transportation Disadvantaged Service Plan, also known as the TDSP, and the Memorandum of Agreement, the MOA, between the Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged and the Community Transportation Coordinator. A, Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged. B, Community Transportation Coordinator. C, Planning Agency, and D, Local Coordinating Board. Hi, Paul. We see you jumped on, sir. Good afternoon.
Just so everybody knows, I got like 100% on this test so far.
Oh, and Paul, if for any reason, one of my late night spirit and I were having coffee at midnight last night, if you see anything that I might have done in error, please correct us. I believe we did this
I've
about
got the
3.
Jeopardy judges over here on the side
Okay.
meeting to jump in.
Do, 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 do. Okay. All right, and the answer is C, the planning agency. Question 11. Conducts an evaluation of the Community Transportation Coordinator, the CTC, including recommendations. Answers are A, Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged, B, Community Transportation Coordinator, C, Planning Agency, and D, Local Coordinating Board. And many of these resources, not only are they from the table exercise we did last year, some of you may not have participated in that, but our guidebook, a lot of this information is in the planning guidebook that we provide for all the board members and the alternates. And we threw a couple extras in there from off the CTD website, perhaps. And maybe even something from our friends over at Broward County Transit. And the answer is D, the Local Coordinating Board. On to question number 12. Who develops statewide policies and procedures, eligibility guidelines, and provides technical assistance to the Community Transportation Coordinator and the Planning Agency, and conducts quality assurance reviews of the Community Transportation Coordinator? Is it A, the Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged, B, the Community Transportation Coordinator, C, the Planning Agency, or D, the Local Coordinating Board? All right, everyone's voted, and the correct answer is A, the Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged. And the next question, I believe it's question 13. Eligibility for a 31-day transportation disadvantaged bus pass is based on income at 220% of federal poverty level, and that comes from the Health and Human Services, and it requires Broward residency. This is a true or false. All right, and the answer is true. Remember, no one is getting a grade for this. This is not a test. It's just an exercise in education. And the next question, according to Broward MPO rules, after the local coordinating board approves new appointments, the full Broward MPO board shall appoint all members to serve on the local coordinating board. True or false? Sneaking one in from the bylaws. And the answer is true. Question 15. According to the local coordinating board bylaws, it shall be the obligation of the member to provide 5 business days notice to the alternate and to the MPO, the planning agency staff, that the member will or will not attend a meeting. True or false? And the answer is true. Question 16. The planning agency staff submits to the Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged a quarterly progress report and invoice that includes A, the local coordinating member attendance records, B, meeting minutes, C, roll call votes, and D, all of the above. And you all are familiar with the progress report that comes in, actually, there's one included in the agenda for the regular business meeting this afternoon. Usually attach that as a administrative item. D, all the above. Perfect score, team. Question 17. Special and emergency meetings of the local coordinating board may be called by the chairperson or MPO staff. Special meetings may also be called on the initiative of 3 or more members petitioning the chairperson. Is the answer true or false? And we purposely put this one in because of the pandemic and the coronavirus, just so that everyone is reminded that this is a push button option that we have. Today we needed to come in to meet quorum in order to pass an agenda item so that we can adjust our quorum. So we'll deal with that in the next session. Everyone has voted. Great. And the answer is true. Question 18. Assist the community transportation coordinator in establishing eligibility guidelines and trip priorities. Is it A, the Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged, the Community Transportation Coordinator, B, C, the Planning Agency, or D, the Local Coordinating Board, the LCB? And the answer is D, the Local Coordinating Board. Question 19. Appoints the grievance committee to process and investigate complaints, should there be any. A, the Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged, the CTD. B, the Community Transportation Coordinator, the CTC. C, the Planning Agency, the MPO. Or D, the Local Coordinating Board, the LCB. And the answer is D, the Local Coordinating Board, the LCB. On to question number 20. Meets at least quarterly. Is it the Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged, the CTD? The Community Transportation Coordinator, the CTC? B? Is it C, the Planning Agency, the MPO? Or D, the Local Coordinating Board, the LCB? And the answer is D, the Local Coordinating Board. Question 21. Reviews and recommends other funding applications when they become available. That would be A, the Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged, the CTD. B, the Community Transportation Coordinator, the CTC. C, the Planning Agency, the MPO. And D, the Local Coordinating Board, the LCB. And a copy of the presentation from today was posted to the agenda. It's not in the Mentee form. It's just a PowerPoint presentation, a duplicate of this. So you have that available to you if you wanted to go back to that. We have additional resources as well where all these questions came from, can provide those as well. And the answer is D, the Local Coordinating Board. Question 22. Reviews strategies of service provision to the area. Review strategies of service provision to the area. A, Community for the Transportation Disadvantaged, CTD. B, Community Transportation Coordinator, CTC. C, the Planning Agency, the MPO. And D, the Local Coordinating Board, the LCB. And the answer is D, the local coordinating board, the LCB. Question 23. Evaluates multi-county or regional transportation opportunities. Evaluates multi-county or regional transportation opportunities. A, Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged, CTD. B, Community Transportation Coordinator, CTC. D, Planning Agency, the MPO. And D, the Local Coordinating Board, the LCB. We're more than halfway through. We may not make it to the end. We'll see how time goes. And the answer is D, the Local Coordinating Board. Question 24. Provides staff to the Local Coordinating Board. Provides staff to the Local Coordinating Board. That's A, the Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged, CTD. B, Community Transportation Coordinator, the CTC. C, Planning Agency, the MPO. And D, the Local Coordinating Board, the LCB. And the answer is C, the Planning Agency. Question 25. Evaluates the CTC, in parentheses, planner, and LCB, parentheses, annually. A, the Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged. B, Community Transportation Coordinator, the CTC. C, the Planning Agency, the MPO. And D, the Local Coordinating Board, the LCB. And the answer is C, the Planning Agency, the MPO. The next question, reviews annually the annual operating report, also known as the AOR, prepared by the Community Transportation Coordinator, the CTC, and submits it to the Local Coordinating Board, the LCB, for approval. A, Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged, the CTD. B, the Community Transportation Coordinator, the CTC. C, the Planning Agency, the MPO. Or D, the Local Coordinating Board, the LCB. And the answer is C, the planning agency, the MPO. Question 27, we're on the downside here, folks. Plans, administers, monitors, coordinates, arranges, and delivers coordinated transportation disadvantaged services originating in their designated service area. A, Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged, the CTD. B, the Community Transportation Coordinator, the CTC. C, the Planning Agency, the MPO. Or D, the Local Coordinating Board, the LCB. And the answer is B, the Community Transportation Coordinator, the CTC. Recommends eligibility guidelines and trip prioritization to the local coordinating board for non-sponsored trips. A, Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged, CTD. B, Community Transportation Coordinator, the CTC. C, Planning Agency, the MPO. And D, the Local Coordinating Board, the LCB. And the answer is B, the Community Transportation Coordinator. The next question, who do we serve? We're referring to paratransit. Older adults, A. B, persons with disabilities. C, people with low income. D, at-risk children. And E, all of the above. Rebecca, this is Charlene. In about 2:55, we're going to go ahead and stop the presentation. It can continue if folks want to stick around, but I would like to offer the folks that are here physically an opportunity to take a break before we start at 3 o'clock, a 5-minute break. Is that acceptable, Sandy? 5-minute break? Okay, great. Perfect score, all the above. Answer is E, all the above. Paratransit provides rides to A, medical services, B, work, C, school, D, grocery store, E, all the above. And the answer is D, excuse me, E, all the above. All right, Paul, you got to get this one right, Mr. Strobus. TOPS is short for or stands for, think of it as an acronym, but it's really not a perfect acronym. A, that was your hint. Transportation of People Services. B, Transportation of Public Services. C, Transportation of Paratransit Services. And D, Transportation Options Program. And the answer is D, Transportation Options Program. Question 32. And we're got about 4 minutes left, folks. Governing documents for the Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged. There are 2 different chapters, excuse me, 1 chapter listed and a rule. The chapter is 427.013, which is a Florida statute, and the rule is 412.003 from the Florida Administrative Code. Are these the governing documents for the CTD? Is that true or false? Correct. The answer is true. Question 33. The purpose of the Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged, and we have the reference to the statute 427.013, accomplish the coordination of transportation services provided to the transportation disadvantaged. The purpose of the CTD is to accomplish the coordination of transportation services provided to the transportation disadvantaged. True A, B false. And the answer is true. We have time for about 2 or 3 more. I think about 2. For the Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged, coordination is defined as, and then there's a reference to the statute, the same statute 427.013. Coordination is defined as arrangement for the provision of transportation services to the transportation disadvantaged in a manner that is cost-effective, efficient, and reduces fragmentation and duplication of services. The answers are A, true, or B, false. And the answer is true. We'll do one more, and then we'll take a break and get ready for our regular business meeting, which will start promptly at 3 o'clock. The CTD goal, and we're referencing the statute again, 427013, The CTD goal is to assure the cost-effective provision of transportation by qualified community transportation coordinators or transportation operators. A, true, and B, false. And once you've answered, if you want to step away to take a break, just to remind everyone that's in the office, you'll exit out the boardroom door, make a left, go immediately past the elevators, and then an immediate left to both the men's and ladies' room there. And there's a water fountain as well. And hand sanitizer is available. And we need to start at 3. And I need everyone that's physically here to return, or we will not have quorum. We will not be able to run our board meeting. So I need all bodies present to please return. Thank you for that. 3 o'clock. It is, you have 5 minutes starting now. And Rebecca, if you can stop the presentation, here, we'll give the answer and then you can, and the answer was true. And then we'll go ahead and we'll set up for the board meeting. Thank you, everyone. Okay, we're getting ready, folks, who are joining us online. It'll be just a moment. Vera will be in shoe. We've got one here as well. Just bear with us, folks. And just a reminder is up on the screen for you. So at the very bottom, of course, we're going to welcome you in just a moment to the coordinating board meeting. We're just waiting for a couple folks to physically return to the room so we can meet our quorum. Actually, we have quorum right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So when she comes in, we can add those. Actually, why don't you, I'm going to turn it over to you, Sandy, because we have 8 in the room. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, we're good. I'm going to be quiet and it's up to you. Rebecca, we're ready. We have 8 in the room and there'll be more coming. And for the folks that are online, our chair is going to speak with you.
As soon as the plane finishes flying over. Good afternoon. I welcome you to our January 25th LCB committee meeting. I'd like to ask those of you that are participating from home if you would put your video on so that we could see exactly who it is that's participating, because we have a little trouble with some of the names here. So we just appreciate seeing your faces momentarily, and then I guess you could hide again after we see everyone. Are we okay, or we have to wait a minute?
Okay, there's a couple people who I shared my password with. I was not aware it was a unique ID. So you'll see that my name appears multiple times. Could you just announce yourself, unmute? If you're showing up with my name, Charlene Burke, and announce yourself, please, and you can go back on mute after that.
Milori Sena, APD.
Vanessa Gabriel, Voc Rehab.
Thank you both. That was Vanessa Gabriel and Milori Senat. If you could advance it to the agenda.
Okay. All right, so our meeting is officially called to order, and we do have everyone's names here through the computer, so we do not need to call the roll call today, and we do have a quorum. So our first item on our agenda would be to approve the minutes from our October 19th, 2020 meeting. So if you would like to make that motion, you can raise your hand. Melanie made the motion, and second, virtual hand. You see where it says raise hand in the bottom corner, bottom right-hand corner?
I'm raising my hand, Vanessa Gabriel.
Okay, we'll take Vanessa Gabriel as the second, and then the gentleman will be able to do for the next one. All right, we'll do we'll assume that everyone's in favor. If you are against, just say nay. Otherwise, we will assume that you say yay and you don't have to raise your hand. So do we have all A's and no nays? So the motion passes unanimously. Moving on, we'd like an approval of our agenda. So if we could have a motion for that, Melanie McGill again, and Milori Senat for a second. Please indicate if you are not in favor. All right, there are no no's, so therefore the approval of the agenda passes unanimously. Public comments from the floor or from the Zoom? I don't believe we have any, do we?
Rebecca, just checking with you before we move on. No public comments?
I have not received any prior. If you are on in the attendee section, if you can please raise your hand if you want to make a public comment. I don't see any.
All right.
Thank you.
Seeing no hands, we'll pass on public comments and move on to the motion to elect the LCB vice chair. We could do this by nominations, or if there's someone that would like to volunteer, or someone's that would like to volunteer to be the LCB vice chair. Is there a volunteer? Melanie? Yes. All right, Melanie has volunteered and I don't see any others here or at home with their hand raised. So could we have a motion to elect Melanie again as Melanie McGill as our vice chair? And Mark Levitt made the motion, and Maria Hernandez for a second. Thank you. All in favor? Or, right, I should say, if you are not in favor, please say nay. Being there's no nays, the motion has passed unanimously. Thank you very much. Action item number 2. The motion to select LCB members to serve on the LCB Review Committee. Did you want to say something, Charlene? You're moving.
Sure,
Yeah.
happy to. We do this on an annual basis. We typically have about 4 people that participate on this. Actually, last year we had more than that, and that was wonderful because it made lighter of the work that needed to be accomplished. I know Efren participated. I know Melanie participated. So quite a few of you actually did last year. I think we might have even had 6 people. So we really, I think Charlotte Mather Taylor participated, so she's not on today. But this is an important task. We have to go through the review committee. We look at the bylaws, the complaint and grievance, and we do evaluation for the CPC. We do writer surveys. So it's a combination of tasks that have to be accomplished in order to hold our May board meeting.
Do we have members that would like to serve on this? I guess you could raise your hand if you would like to serve on this LCB, whether you're here or whether you're home. We have Melanie McGill again. We need some more folks to step up and serve on this.
And this can be done remotely.
Chair Johnson,
Yes.
just want to make a point just for the board is also because Mark Levitt serves as my provider, he would not be able to be on the review committee as a board member. Just so you're aware of that. He's not ignoring the possibility of doing it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we still need some volunteers, please, or we will nominate. We'll do a random sampling and I'll just nominate and let you know by way of email. And it's probably going to be someone who didn't do it last year.
Well, I guess check your emails.
All right, that's what we'll do. We'll go ahead and.
Oh, wait, Vanessa Gabriel raised her hand, so now we have
Thank you,
2.
Vanessa.
Don't we have some gentlemen to join the ladies there? Am I allowed to say that? Separate us in the gentlemen and ladies?
Sure, someone else.
All right, well, we'll be in touch and see if we can get some more folks to help out. So should we vote on the 2 though that we have, Melanie and Vanessa?
Yeah, and that I'll pick 2 randomly that didn't do it last year, if that's acceptable to the chair.
Okay, so could we have a motion to select Melanie and Vanessa to serve on our LCB review committee? Marie made a motion and we need a second. And Whoops. Mark Levitt made a second, made second. Okay. Is there anyone opposed to this? Please indicate so. All right, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Action item 3, the LCB bylaws allow for 3 members or alternates to satisfy the in-person physical requirement for quorum in the same physical location. Charlene, you want to take this and explain, because we had 2 different edicts, and edict 1, and then we went to edict 2, and now we're back to edict 1 again. So go ahead, please.
Absolutely. So the reason why we placed this action item on the agenda is to, we're really grateful to everyone that's physically here today, recognizing, the situation with the coronavirus. We, trust that we have cleaned this place and you're safe as you could be anywhere else. Thank you very much for coming today. But moving forward, so that we could avoid this situation, we talked with, and this was a recommendation from the Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged, as soon as we could pull quorum together, which was today, to allow us to modify our bylaw so that we can have a quorum with 3 members and alternates to satisfy the in-person physical requirement for quorum in the same physical location. There still need to be 3 people, but then everyone else can participate remotely. Nothing will change. Your roles and your responsibilities will still be the same in terms of your services, whether you're a member or an alternate. The only difference will be is you're either here or you'll be participating hybrid in a remote, like some of the members are today, like Dr. Gray, for example.
Is there any discussion on that? All right, then that being said, could we have a motion to change the bylaws for 3 members for quorum? And we have Melanie for a first and Marie for a second. Is there anyone who disagrees with this? Please indicate by saying nay. All right, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. That will make it a lot easier. And I join with Charlene in thanking all of you that did come in person today. And we'd be glad to see you in person again at the next one if you feel so inclined. But if not, we'll be able to carry on with just the 3 people. Non-action number 1, Paratransit update and transportation disadvantage grant tracking report. Mr. Strobus, it's all yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody.
I like your background, by the way, today.
Thank you.
It looks very
Yes.
nice.
This was my bright and airy one.
Right.
So it's been a couple months. As you can see by the grant tracking report, ridership is still way down across the board, both in our TD and our ADA service. We are still right around 45 to 50% of our ridership pre-pandemic. With the introduction of vaccines in our region, we hope that we'll start to see ridership grow again. But over the last 6 months of this grant cycle for the TD program, we've not been able to draw down the total amount on a monthly basis due to lack of service. One of the things that the Commission for Transportation Disadvantage did do was allowed a funding alternative when the number of trips was lower than anticipated. They introduced an emergency fund, which basically allows the CTC to draw down a percentage of the grant allocation for the month based on the volume of loss. So we've been able to bring down about $250,000 to $260,000 in emergency. I'm sorry, $125,000 in emergency funds each month to help fill the gap locally. We don't expect to see ridership increase back to 100% until our various adult centers can return to 100% capacity themselves. Most of the trips we're doing right now are life-sustaining, dialysis, chemotherapy, medical appointments, some employment, but most of the volume of our trips are usually to daycare centers, adult daycare centers and schools programs, and they just don't have the geographic space to socially distance in their own facilities. And as I speak to each of those administrators, they don't anticipate returning back to normal themselves for months to come. So, in the meantime, we continue to provide service right now, one rider at a time. We've got enough vehicle capacity with Transportation America to provide direct service trips, and we intend to keep doing that as long as we're under the state of emergency here in Broward County, and the volume of trips allow us to continue to do so safely. In the meantime, and I think I may have given the board an update on this, we have installed plastic dividers on the backs of every seat in our body on chassis vehicles to help when we do get to multi-loading. We've also been able to use some of our CARE Act money that we got from the federal government to purchase ultraviolet UV lamp air purification systems that will be going into all of our vehicles. We've got 60 vehicles on order right now that are in production. We've got about 15 on site of the 60. The rest are due to be delivered over the next month or so. And those will all come equipped with the UV lamps. All of our older vehicles will be retrofitted with a system. That purchase order is with my purchasing department now and should be issued sometime later this week. So that system produces an ionizing ozone in the vehicle that helps protect not only the air, but the surface of the seats and grab rails and such. So hopefully those will assist in providing a safer environment in our TOPS vehicles. We're in our FY21 budget year. Obviously, revenues are down. We're still not collecting any fares on transit due to the COVID situation. And so this year, I think we'll be okay. We're going to look at how this is going to affect next year from a revenue collection. Sales tax is obviously down. Some of the other revenue sources are down. So while there's an adamant commitment to meet the paratransit demand, there's some decisions I think that the county will have to make, and we'll discuss them in future meetings with you as the 2022 budget picture becomes clearer in the spring and over the summer. I haven't gotten any feedback on the Transportation Disadvantage Trust Fund. So, with that, we'll find out more information as the legislature returns to session in the spring. We do have, a couple of items coming up that I think will also benefit us with the CTD. On February 25th, the CTD is going to be holding a virtual online workshop to discuss their position on the use of TD dollars in ADA service areas. It has long been the practice of the TD Commission to not allow an urban area like ours to use TD dollars for ADA eligible individuals. And there's been some guidance from the Office of Civil Rights in Washington, D.C. that I think is going to require the CTD to reposition themselves on that. And so there's going to be a workshop for input on the 25th of February. And then I would expect an official item to modify their policy on that, although it's an unwritten policy moving forward. So another item that's coming up between now and the next meeting on March 29th is the Broward Td Legislative Day. This will, I guess, be done virtually as well this year, which will allow individuals access to our legislators to talk about the priorities of our region. I strongly recommend each of you look at your calendars and try to participate so that people up in Tallahassee hear what our needs are, what your needs are for your various agencies to ensure that we have the resources to meet our demand down here. Any assistance that you guys can give would be appreciated on that. Other than that, I can answer any questions anybody on the board may have.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Strobus? Looks like not. Looks like a great report. Wow. There you go.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you very much. That was very informative and interesting.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to our next order of business. We have administrative items, and you all had access to these and were able to read, hopefully, the different areas. So if anybody has any questions on any of these items, you can raise your hand and we'll try and answer them. All right. That being said, how about member comments? Does anybody have a comment they'd like to make about anything from the meeting today or the meeting of the future, or anything else you'd like to air at home or here? Okay, doesn't look like it. So we'll move past that to adjourn. So if someone would like to make a motion to adjourn. Robert made a motion to adjourn and Jamie seconded it. So is there anybody opposed to that? All right, therefore, we stand adjourned. Thank you very much for coming. See you on, what's the next date? I flipped right by it. May 17th, right. Thank you. Oh.